All right, welcome back, everybody. The hottest RP show merch is just one click away. Visit rodpeterson.com, click on RP Store. We got shirts, we got hoodies, we got mugs, t-shirts, hats, you name it. Look at this. Look at this guy. Jamie Thomas joining us from the Winnipeg Jets. What's going on, brother?
Well, the Winnipeg Jets just got off the ice, Rod, following a first practice back since Saturday, which was not fun. I think you look back at what happened there after the Jets had seemed like kind of turn a corner. They had a team meeting after the loss in Buffalo. That was on Monday. Then Wednesday, they play a much better game in Montreal, right? So they come out of there with a point. And then Friday, much better against Buffalo in the return match. They win 3-1, get 2 goals from their fourth line, and it looks okay. But then you roll into Edmonton and listen, you've had enough people on the show. You've had enough players. You've talked to enough people. The schedule does catch up to many people, and it should never be an excuse. But playing in Winnipeg on Friday and then flying into Edmonton and playing Saturday night probably didn't help them very much. But the major focus of this hockey team, buddy, has been the first 10 minutes of the game, and it has been substandard for quite some time. And they're down 3-0 after 7.5 minutes. So yesterday off, they travel back home. They get back on the ice, ready to start a 4-game homestand. And I was talking to Louis DeBrusque on Saturday, and he's like, the Jets are kind of in the same place the Oilers were 2 weeks ago. You know, they're tired. They haven't had a whole lot of time practicing. So maybe this 4-game homestand with a day between games will help them get out of whatever it is they're in right now, because it's been a way different than last year. I think we've been spoiled the last couple of years. They were such a wagon for a big chunk of last year and certainly the year before that. And they're just trying to find that magic once again.
Well, I was going to ask you, how are things in Winnipeg? I was like, But let me put a smile on that beautiful face and just talk about the Heritage Classic. That to me came out of nowhere. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I mean, I probably about 5 years ago, I was probably because of the 2019. Anyways, I would say about 10 years ago, you're getting tired of the outdoor games. But until you go to one, and I heard you just talk about this a little while ago, your friends saying you got to go. I would tell anybody, if they have the opportunity, you have to go, because it's a stunning event to go to, just from a sightline perspective. You constantly hear players say going back to their roots, and I don't know, players are getting younger and younger now. I don't know how many kids actually play outdoors nowadays. But man, for the older guys like Adam Lowry and stuff like that, it's just like a return to their younger years. And spoke with Scott Arneal on Saturday before the game, just about, you remember running home from school and putting on the skates and racing out to the old shack to put your skates on and to stay outside for 2 hours. It's just such a cool sight line. And especially the way that game ended. Winnipeg hadn't scored a goal in the outdoor game in like 5.5 periods, because they were shut out here in 2016. They were losing 1-0 to the Flames in the third period, and Josh Morrissey scores a power play goal. And of course, Brian Little goes on to score the overtime winner. That was like Brian Little's second to last NHL goal, because we had no idea what was going to follow after that. But man, I think, with Princess Auto Stadium being the sight line for it, I'm very excited, and for that to be the Montreal Canadiens here, it will be really fantastic. And hoping at some point maybe there'll be some alumni here from the 2.0 era, and we'll see how that goes. But it was a great announcement. Came at a interesting time, but hopefully people look focused on that and the positive that's coming out of that, out of what's going to come from the outdoor game.
I'm exactly with you. And by the way, it was Munzie, and Munzie's never steered me wrong. He was like, you got to go to this. And I'm so glad that I did. Right. So there won't be any problem selling this out. Right.
No. I mean, they don't have problems selling out the Bombers game, so I don't see how they have any problems selling this game, because it's an event. It's special. Adam Lowry said, like, you look forward to the gear that you're going to get. It is, it's hard to think of what excites players nowadays, but it doesn't matter how old you are. New equipment is always fun, and a different looking jersey. Who knows? Maybe they'll wear the Heritage again. I don't know, but we'll have to see how that goes. Like, we all love new equipment. Doesn't matter how old we are, what era we're from. But that part's going to be amazing. But it's it's easy to be excited about this now, but I think there's more of a focus of, especially from the players, of trying to right the ship right now before the Christmas holidays.
Hey, I get it, and I think
I appreciate that. I love how you went positive though, buddy, because it's a struggle for the positive train right now here in the Manitoba capital.
And trust me, I'm getting to that. But you and I, we deduced, like the last time you were on, that we're the exact same age. So we come from an era when you got new gloves and skates, it was like pulling on a cindercrete block and putting your foot in a cindercrete block. Now it comes broken in. That's not fun.
Yeah. No, I know. Like half the fun was like your feet killing afterwards, and you remember you used to do skate-a-thons and how much your feet would kill after those. I don't think these guys have to worry about that anymore, man. This is the technology nowadays is crazy. I still have the same pair of skates I've had since I was like 29 years old, because I am not going out to spend $400 on a pair of skates so I can skate once or twice a year.
No, those come broken in too, though. But you're right.
Yeah,
But our feet were like one big blister, and it wasn't a great time. But
uh,
looking back, it was amazing. But listen, I'm going to ask you a
it's the best
question.
of times.
You can handle it. You're a veteran broadcast. I don't want to put you on the
Yeah,
spot, but I'm going to. You're
right.
from Cochrane, Alberta, right?
Yep, yep.
I'm going to ask you who you cheered for growing up, and I say that because I'll let you think about
Oh,
it.
which team, buddy?
Right, just hang on, because
Yep.
Bill Lindsay said to me at a recent Panthers game, he's like, "Who's your team?" And I said, "Well,
Hmm.
I live here, so I guess the Panthers." He's like, "No, really, like growing up, who was
Yeah,
your
yeah,
team?"
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, "The
yeah.
Oilers, the Oilers." Until the day they
Hmm.
traded Wayne. So
Right.
now you've had a few minutes. What's your politically correct answer on who you cheered for growing
Oh,
up?
hey, I will tell I tell people here all the time. So I grew up in Cochrane, Alberta, like you just said. So I'm not cheering for the Winnipeg Jets. I'll tell you that. And I was not cheering for the Edmonton Oilers. My parents had
Okay.
season tickets to the Calgary Flames, but I was a huge, well, still internally, a huge Philadelphia Flyers fan. So this is, I love Bobby Clark's my favorite player.
Oh,
Of course, when Eric Lindros signed or was traded to the Flyers, one of the happiest days of my life from my child or my early 20s, I should say. And yeah, like until I started getting into the business, you don't cheer for them as much because you're not getting paid by them. I love this organization, but man, I was a huge Flyers fan growing up. I will never hide that.
okay.
It's they won a Stanley Cup. They won their Stanley Cups before I was too young to remember them, and they've been to numerous Stanley Cup finals since. Still waiting for that, but yeah, I was a Flyers fan through and through my
Well,
childhood.
I'll tell you what. One of my guys here is Jeff Chikrin. I'll get him to sign a Philly thing for. I'll give you to the next time
Yeah,
I see you. I'll give it to you. Chick
I
is a great
accept the terms.
Philadelphia
Yeah,
Flyer.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So, but the other great thing is though, it's easy to cheer for the Panthers because they're such unbelievable people. And you've told me that about the
Hmm.
Jets. You never
Yeah,
left Winnipeg because they treat you so well.
right. And that's what I mean. You're around these guys so much that and then from the top to bottom, ownership, management, scouts, so you become part of the family in some ways. Like I'm not best friends with the players, of course, because I'm too old to be their best friend anyways, but
Yeah.
it's as an organization, you're happy when they're happy. Good people like Mark Chipman, you want them to succeed, you want good things to happen for them because they've been so kind and so great, and they've allowed me to have a great career, especially the last part of the last 7 or 8 years. So of course, I want the Winnipeg Jets to win because I love the people that I work for. So it's really that simple, my friend.
Yeah, and I don't know that I
Yeah,
would hope the fans realize that. But here, listen, we're totally
yeah,
off track, and I will get to the current Jets. We'll get there.
yeah,
But I'm just saying with Paul Maurice, like they were in last place. I'm not sure if they still are or not, but last week they were. And a lot of the fans
yeah.
are jumping off the bandwagon here because they're new fans. And I'm like, how could you not believe in Paul Maurice? One and two, how
Right,
could you cheer against or turn on or jump off his bandwagon? He's the greatest
right.
guy.
Right. I agree with you. There's a lot of another thing too is like in Florida they've been spoiled because Tampa and Florida have been so good for so long, and anytime you slip off that high standard that you've set, and I'll say that even here, people get impatient. But I think I remember Paul used to always say the other team gets paid too. It's not easy to win in the NHL, man. Like it's the fine line between winning and losing is very small. And there's a lot of teams. There's 31 other teams in the league. There's a lot of young teams that are coming up right now, like Anaheim and San Jose, and it's an exciting time that way. So when you're a veteran team like the Jets, like you just it's a little bit harder, but there's enough guys in this dressing room that have done this before, that remember the tough times before they started winning again. I just don't see how they don't turn this around. It's not going to be easy, mind you, and then not having the Vezina Trophy winner and the Hart Trophy winner in your net, and this is no knock to Eric Comrie or Thomas Milic, and now they've recalled Dominic DiVincentis. It's he's just that good. And when you're having a tough time defending the way the Jets are, the Connor Hellebuck is the magic elixir, and I don't think I'm hurting anybody's feelings by saying that. So they've got to find a way to hold water here until he gets back, and hopefully get that defensive structure down that has been so imperative to their success over the last 3 years.
Well, that is my next question, but I'll say one last
Yeah,
thing. I think we were all watching when Pomo won his first cup, and he looked
yeah,
in his camera and said, "I want the next team to win to be the Winnipeg Jets." Like, your boy
right,
Hustler, I saw him the next summer. Hustler's like, we're all thinking, did he really mean that? And then going
yeah,
into last year's playoffs, I'm like, what if you actually meet in the Stanley Cup final? You still feel that way, Paul? But
yeah.
anyways, I digress. When we go to this year's Jets, dude, you mentioned the Buffalo game. I watched that. That was Amazon Prime. I was in Moose Jaw last week. I'm like,
Right.
oh my God, are the Jets
I
bad?
know. In that
Was that rock
moment, it's like you
bottom?
just watch it. Yeah, you're like, I don't think I don't know if it'll be rock bottom, man. Like, I just like, there's so many ways that they can fix this, but it's not like, so they're not sitting there going, when you hear a player or coach go, I don't know what's wrong, then there's like concern. But they don't, no one said that, right? I think everyone understands what the challenge has been and why they are not winning as much as they have. First off, the scoring is completely dried up outside the top line. That's not a recipe for success for anybody. And believe me, they are trying every avenue, they're trying every line combination possible to get this turned around the corner. And it's not easy not having Adam Lowry for the first 17 games. He's just getting up to speed. I think, the kind of the monkey in the room, the elephant in the room is what is going on with Jonathan Tace. And I like to temper people's expectations because the guy didn't play for 2 years. And I think we all expected him to come out and have 60 points and help them, dominate the league. I think that's unfair. So I think he's slowly getting there, and it's just a matter of time. But I think everyone has, and I think for sure the organization is being patient about it. So it's a tough time, but it's not like it's a young team. They don't know how to turn this around. They have all the answers. They just have to execute, and and then maybe this homestand hopefully gets things turned around, because now that's that practice time I was talking about that they haven't had. When things are going bad and you can't practice because of the compressed schedule, again, not an excuse, it's a reason. That this is kind of stuff that you're hoping will turn a corner because of your time at home here with 4 games in a row.
Yeah, I'll get to the viewer comments in a second. We don't have Jimmy Thomas for
Yeah,
much
sure.
longer, and I got once you're gone, they have to do with other teams and so forth. But thank you, Troy,
Yeah,
for tuning in from the Chicago airport while we're talking here. He loves it. Great show today. Thanks for doing. Thank you, Troy. You're the best. Safe travels, by the way. But listen, Winnipeg. I've told you this is our number 2 city for viewership. So I
right.
follow a lot of your fans and what they're saying, and it's like
Yeah,
they talk about Hellebuck, that he covered up a lot of problems that they
right.
didn't know were there until he was gone. Do you buy into that?
But isn't it what every great goaltender is supposed to do? Like when you're not on your game, isn't that what goaltenders are supposed to do? So it is. I will say this: like it is tough to replace Nikolai Ehlers. It's Mason Appleton brought a certain you know product whenever he was on that third line with Adam Lowry and Nina Ryder. That third line isn't driving play like it used to. But I think that's a product of Adam Lowry recovering from a hip surgery, not fully up to where we're used to seeing him. So I understand people's concern, but it's all about defending too. Like the defending has not been as good and airtight as it has been in years past. So I don't know if even Connor Hellebuck could save it, but you certainly see the value and understand. Not that people didn't see it before. It's just rare to have a goaltender of that stature on your team, because there's probably like 9 or 10 of them in the entire league, and Connor Hellebuck is one of them. And he's a hard guy to replace. Doesn't matter how great Eric Comrie's been, and he was great in Montreal. He was tremendous against Buffalo on Friday. But when you just saw when you don't play defense that well, and Edmonton's all over you early with 97 and 29, it's hard to win hockey games. It doesn't matter who the goaltender is.
Yeah. Well, and again, this Sabres game was not a good example, but I was like, it wouldn't matter
No,
who was in goal. It wouldn't
and
matter
that's
who
been
was
the
in goal.
focus, Rod. It's been the first 10 minutes. Like Arnie said that on Saturday night after the game. The focus has been the first 10 minutes of the hockey game, and he's been, that's been the constant message. And then 7 minutes in, you're down 3-0 in Edmonton. So clearly that's not getting through, or the execution isn't there. So I believe this homestand is extremely critical, and I'm not being I'm being Captain Obvious when I say that. but you've got like Dallas, you've got Boston, who has been unbelievable this year. You got Washington on Saturday, you got Ottawa on Monday. So it's the schedule is hectic, and the schedule is getting a little more high standard in terms of the opponents the Jets are playing. But sometimes you need those high opponents to get your game to a level that you want to get it to.
Well, a couple things, then I'll let you go. You mentioned Ehlers.
Yep.
That's another thing I've seen from your fans. They're like, we didn't
Mhm.
realize how important this guy was.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I mean, did they just couldn't afford him? Did he want to leave Winnipeg? Like, have you guys been back scratching your head as to how that was allowed to happen? Was he going to stay?
Yeah.
How hard did they try to keep him?
Yeah, Chevy was honest about it. They tried everything they could to keep him, but I think in some ways, Nikolai wanted an opportunity to go somewhere else, right? So I'm not speaking for him. That's just what I think. It's obviously the Jets have been so good, Rod, at keeping their core players, and
Mm-hmm.
Nikolai Ehlers was a big part of their core. They drafted him, they developed him, they helped turn him into the player that he is today. So sometimes people want a fresh start somewhere, and maybe that's the real reason behind all of this. I don't think anyone should ever look at the Jets and go, they didn't try and keep Nikolai Ehlers. They did. There was in constant conversation with Nick's agent throughout the whole process. It just didn't work out. So when you're not winning, it's easy to go, hey, they should have kept this guy. They should have kept that guy, not brought this guy in. Let's see how this all transpires, and when we'll talk in April about the whole thing. But it has been a challenge. Nikolai Ehlers was a big part of their number one power play unit. He forces defense to back off because of his speed, and there's no question about the all the times he brought fans in this building out of their seat. He's a very hard guy. There's not many Nikolai Ehlers in the league, period. So I can understand why fans are looking back and then go, maybe they should have tried a little bit harder. But you got to look at the money that you have to give Kyle Connor. There's some pretty big salaries in this team right now. Sometimes it doesn't work out. So let's just see how this whole season shakes out before we can all sit there and say, oh, you should have
Yeah,
kept this guy or that guy. Yeah.
that's why it's great to have guys like you on the air to answer these questions and straighten things
Yeah.
out. And the one thing is, we have less than 2 minutes here. The producer says, but you can't fool Jets fans. I don't envy you. They know the game. You
No.
can't fool them.
No.
Right here, you can
No.
fool them in Florida. Trust me, you can.
Right.
There,
Oh
you
yeah,
can't.
super easy. Yeah. And that's the best part of it, because, and I'll say this too. I was talking to Dean Chanel, obviously, Dean from his days in the Western Hockey League playing, and his dad, of course, the biggest name in the Western Hockey League. You look at, how things are going right now. It could change at any moment too, right? So it's just we'll have to see. Jets fans, Dean did say this. He said lots of fans in Canada are passionate, but he said Winnipeg Jets fans are compassionate. And there's a great example. Adam Lowry, when he was recovering from his hip surgery, he said, "You would not believe how many times people came up to me and go, how's the hip doing?" Right? It's not you're terrible. It's like, how's the hip doing? So as passionate as they are, compassionate too, they understand things a little pretty well, and it's not like they're mean. They just have, there's expectations here because of what this team has built over the past 3 years, and so I can understand why they're a little upset because of how good they've been the last 3 years, buddy. And there was expectations they're going to be a top three team in the Central this year too, but some tough times happen, and you're just going to have to wait through it. And I think Jets fans are smart enough to realize this is just a little bump in the road for them.
Yeah, well, and you got good people running the show. They've done a great job, so
Sure
trust
do.
them.
Yeah.
Hey, say
Yeah.
hey to Chinny for me. I'd love to see his face when you have a spare moment, a
Yeah.
dead time. Just say, hey, Rod Pedersen said, I'd love to know what his face is. Thank you, Jamie. Great job.
Okay, buddy. Appreciate it. Yeah, make sure you check out my podcast.
Oh, it's gone. Check out his podcast, the official Winnipeg Jets podcast. He's gone, but follow him on Twitter. You can find it there. We'll be right back.